KCAST Radio, it's your home for Kurre and Klapow, the morning's classic rock to the bone. Good morning to you. Got a special guest coming up here in just a few seconds. Looking forward to talking to Damon Johnson, by the way, wherever you get your podcast. You can hear that interview later on this afternoon. Mark Ingram's interview is up. Yesterday we talked about perhaps UAB joining the AAC and or the Big 12, which was some great conversation. We'll talk about that coming up. But right now, got a special guest on. He's a good friend of the show. He's a brother from a different mother. It's kind of weird saying Lynyrd Skynyrd's Damon Johnson, but he's still in the band doing his thing, and Damon joins us right now on KCAST Radio and the Kurre and Klapow Show. Damon, good morning to you, brother. How are you?
Good morning, Tony. Listen, let me keep you reasonable. All right, I'm not Lynyrd Skynyrd's Damon Johnson.
Okay.
I am Damon Johnson, who is playing guitar temporarily in Lynyrd Skynyrd, helping out my friend Gary Rosington and the other guy.
Can I say Damon Johnson of Lynyrd Skynyrd or no?
He's pushing.
I would say no. I would just say Damon Johnson of the ridiculous resume, the most ridiculous resume of anyone you know.
Yeah, I mean, how many times do you go to the UPS store to upgrade your resume, man? About like every 3 or 4 days?
Well, this is so funny, man. I'm always looking forward to talking to you and to Josh. My whole career, you travel and you run into people at the airport. Yeah. And they go, "Hey, you must be a musician." And I go, "Yeah," because I'm sitting there in my seat and I got the guitar and I'm.
You got hair down to your ass. Yeah, you look like a rock and roll. Yeah.
So the inevitable question always comes up: who do you play with?
Yeah.
Well, back in the day, I'd say Brother Kane. They didn't know who that was. Well, things really stepped up when I joined Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
A fair amount of people would go, "Oh wow, yeah, Alice Cooper." Then Lizzie, not as much. But brother, you go through an airport.
Trust me, we were talking about this last time.
You dropped.
No. Oh, you're going to a gig. Who do you play with? And you say Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Dude, I mean, what? Seriously, what is?
But you see what he did? But you see how he did it? He still answered the question. He answered the question appropriately. Who do you play with?
Okay.
He plays with Lynyrd Skynyrd now.
Okay. Do you look at the person asking the question first, and do you see what sticks? Because obviously, if you're talking about a good-looking 35-year-old blonde buxom woman, do you start right off with the Skynyrd stuff, or do you test your material out first?
Tony, I got news for you, brother. I do not talk to blonde 35.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any circumstances.
Would you tell them I played Lynyrd Skynyrd? Can I be your roadie for a show? Because I'm available, man. I'm back out there, brother. Hey, listen, you get paid to pack your boxes, not to play the guitar, right? So I'm here to help you out. I can be on the road with you anytime you want.
Well, there's no question, guys. I am having such an incredible experience playing with the band. They're all first-class musicians above all else, and super passionate about what they do. All great family men and women. The girl, the background singers, Carol and Stacy. So it's just, it's something I never saw coming. It's not like I was out soliciting for something like this. The call came in, and here we are, man.
Do you like life like that? By the way, Damon Johnson joins us here of Thin Lizzy, Black Star Riders, play with Alice Cooper, has written songs for Sammy Hagar, Stevie Nicks. He's now playing, although temporarily, in Lynyrd Skynyrd, depending on who he's talking to in an airport. And they're playing Friday night in my neck of the woods, Paducah, Kentucky, the site of a major Civil War event there years ago, coming up here on Friday night. I got a text a few minutes ago. I posted the picture of you and Ricky, which is just an epic photo of you two guys getting after it side by side in guitar. She wants to know what kind of stuff you put in your hair. How do you keep your hair? And I will ask the question because I got a 9-year-old that doesn't have hair down to her ass yet. But, man, she's got more tangles and stuff. How do you take care of your hair, and what kind of shampoo and stuff do you use?
Johnson with a product line.
What kind of conditioner do you use, and are you going to be taking over Troy Polamalu's spot there in his Sassoon commercials? What kind of hair product do you use?
Goodness gracious, as as my mother says. Listen, fellas, my first thought anytime the subject of hair comes up, I'm just grateful to have
Thank you.
a reasonable amount left.
Thank you.
It has been on the thinning tip for quite some time, but yeah, it is funny, Tony. You'll get a kick out of this right out of the gate. The first thing Johnny Van Zandt said to me, he's like, "Yeah, man, it's great to have you in the band, and I've always known you're a monster guitar player." He goes, "But man, you look like a rocker."
Yes, you do. Now you went short hair for a while, didn't you?
I think I cut it pretty short in the early 2000s. Toward the end of Brother Kane, all of us, man, our hair was getting shorter and shorter. And, I had thought about really kind of transitioning into studio stuff and producing bands. And so, I play on the weekends, that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden I got the Alice Cooper gig and my hair grew back out again. And it's kind of been that way ever since.
How long does it take to grow that hair out? I'm just curious. Years?
Oh man, listen, if you cut it, reasonable length short, it'd take a couple years to get it back to.
Did you like it short though? Seriously, because
did you ever think, Damon, coming on today, that this would be the line of questions you were?
No, because man, I got me a schnoz, and so I've always
you
kept.
should grow your hair out.
This is
Tony,
an
like a rocker.
Well, I did have long hair until someone said, I'll pay you $500 to do a car commercial, but you're a hippie, and I said, I'll cut it right now. Give me a pair of scissors, and I'd take the cash and run. But I mean, but there is something about just getting up in the morning, putting a wet rag on your head, and putting some gel in, and hitting the road.
I can talk about that.
Yeah,
I can tell you about that.
Guys, I have an old friend in Birmingham, Jason Richardson. I hope he's listening right now because he is belly laughing. He's been a fan of my music for decades, but anytime I see him, he's like, "Man, all my wife ever says about you is like how much hair you have. Like, oh, you've got too much hair." He flips his hair, and it's like, yeah, I'm with you, Josh. Why are we talking about hair?
All right.
Wednesday morning.
We'll move on. You're playing September 3rd in Paducah, Kentucky. You've also got a gig coming up the week after, Durant, Oklahoma. You're playing Virginia, New York. You're going to Massachusetts, up in the New England side of the states. And you will continue to play how is Gary Rosington doing, by the way? Have you heard anything about him? And obviously this is a touch and go situation for him. And I know you're enjoying your experience, but how's he doing?
Gary's doing much better. He's been getting stronger, and he wants to come back so bad. And, basically, it is a bit of a liquid situation. And what we're hoping happens is that Gary could be back in the band as early as the weekend of September the 17th.
Okay.
And, which is just in 2 weeks. But, the band and their organization have kind of asked me to be on standby for days throughout the remainder of the year, and I've agreed to do that. So, I've got some Damon Johnson and the Get Ready shows in between all of this. So I'm juggling some of that, but there's no question that my priority is to be there, for Skynyrd to help out. And, look, let's be honest, man, for the gravity of the procedure that Gary went through. I mean, he had heart surgery.
Yeah.
For Christ's sake, man. I mean, that's heavy duty stuff. I know it would make him feel better for me to be there as well, kind of on standby.
Yeah.
There's been all kinds of scenarios discussed. Maybe he plays part of the set. Maybe he plays whatever he wants. We just don't know. They've never been through anything like this, and I got too much respect for the band to be offering any suggestions. It's like, they got to figure it out.
Damon Johnson joins us here on Kurre and Klapow on the KCast radio app. You can download that app. It's fantastic. Thanks to the tens of thousands of people that have already done that and listening to our official rock correspondent. You're bigger than that, but I love because you give us the ins and outs of everything going on the road, and certainly with Lynyrd Skynyrd and DamonJohnson.com is the site to go to get Damon Johnson to get ready in his record and for everything he does. You can also follow him on social media platforms. Did you see, by chance, and I know it's early, did you see what happened with the Doobie Brothers last night?
I did not.
They were playing a show in St. Paul, Minnesota, And Michael McDonald is now with the band again to celebrate their 50th anniversary. And they got up on stage and played a couple songs, and Michael wasn't on stage, and people were waiting for him to come out. And then after the second song, they came out and said, Michael's not feeling well tonight, and he is self-isolating. He's fine, but he is not going to be playing with the Doobie Brothers tonight, much to the chagrin, of course, of a lot of Doobie Brothers fans that not only went to hear the Doobie Brothers, but Michael McDonald, who can stand on his own leg and do his own thing. What's your thoughts on that? Right thing to do for the fans? I mean, what do you – and have you ever been in a situation where, quite frankly, you just felt like hell, you went through with it, and what does a band do at that particular point, and how early do you usually know what's going to happen?
Well, look, man, these are extraordinary times
Yeah.
right now. There's never been a time like this in really our history. A worldwide pandemic. There's still so much uncertainty. The promoters are rightfully and wisely issuing mandates, for bands, crews, audiences, in a lot of cases, to show proof of vaccination or a negative test, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, in this time that we're in, if you're Michael McDonald and you're backstage before the show and all of a sudden you start feeling poorly, the first thought you have is, oh, no, I might have COVID.
Yeah.
And then you immediately start thinking about your entire entourage. And, everybody's been operating in a bubble. You guys know better than anybody. Sports teams, office organizations. Now bands are trying to do the same thing. Keep everyone healthy. I hate to hear that as a Doobie Brothers fan myself and a Michael McDonald fan, but honestly, guys, I think you're going to probably be hearing more stories very similar.
Yeah.
Coming up. I know for a fact, my friend Alice Cooper and all of his band, they're about to start a tour in 2 weeks. Guys, they're on pins and needles. They're so anxious about it. They're so nervous about it. Because you just don't know. And it's like you go through the expense as an organization to get everybody together, the truck drivers, the lighting crew, the guitar techs, the band, the caterers, the assistants, the tour manager. The whole thing could get shut down, guys, in 5 minutes.
Well, let me ask you this, and again, I appreciate you diving into this. Where does Damon Johnson and Lynyrd Skynyrd feel responsible from doing a tour? Because you got Garth Brooks, who came out and said, "Listen, I can't do these concert tours because I know that they could be spreading events." And so, and again, he's a little younger. He could put the time off and he'll kick it back up. You've got Kiss is back on the road, and then Paul Stanley gets COVID, and they just canceled 4 more shows. And then you got Nine Inch Nails has decided, hey, listen, we're just going to hold off because we don't want to have a situation where you have 25,000 fans, because we know people will show up. If we do a concert, people will show up. Yet you have a lot of bands, the Def Leppards, the Poisons, the Motley Crues, the Lynyrd Skynyrds, who much to the joy of their fans are touring. Where do you draw that line, or do you? Does that go through your concert promoter? Or do you talk together as a band? Hey, listen, guys, here's what we're going to do.
It's all down to the organization. It's all down to the promoter. It's all down to the venue and the facility. And everything is liquid, guys. Everything is in flux. I know for a fact that Johnny Van Zant put it out to their fan base. How do you guys feel? What do you guys want to see happen? And across the board, everyone said, we want to come and see the band.
Yeah. And
we're very fortunate in Lynyrd Skynyrd that we can operate literally in a bubble, guys. I leave the house, I park my car at Nashville Airport, I enter the airport with a mask on. I have it on the entire flight. We get to the bus. We drive to the hotel. I'm in my hotel room. I don't see anyone. Shuttle to the gig, in the dressing room with the people in my bubble. Play the show in the shuttle, back to the hotel, back to the airport, home.
Yeah.
We don't see anybody. There are no meet and greets. There are no backstage passes. It's in an effort to keep everyone healthy, the fans, the band. Look, I get the arguments. I get the debates. I totally get it. And as I said a minute ago, it's just down to the individual organization and down to the promoters.
Yeah, Damon Johnson joins us here. He's playing now with Lynyrd Skynyrd, but you know him from Brother Kane. He's written classic rock songs and great songs for some of the biggest rock artists out there, Black Star Riders, Thin Lizzy, Alice Cooper's band, you name it. And we really appreciate and we're grateful to have him on Kurre and Klapow here on KCAST Radio this morning on the KCAST Radio Network. We haven't gotten you on since the loss of a couple of monsters of rock, and I want to get your thoughts on both. Dusty Hill passes away. Coincidentally enough, ZZ Top had a show in Tuscaloosa the following night. It went on without a hitch, certainly without Dusty, but your thoughts on the loss of his life?
You know, both Dusty and Charlie are just, you're talking about icons, and we're never going to get accustomed to these legends passing away. It just puts right in the forefront of our minds, guys, that time marches on, and we are all elder statesmen.
Yeah.
And now these musicians that we have been a part of our lives since we were children. You know, they're late 70s, early 80s. I mean, it's the end of the road for all of us at some point or another. It was just incredible to lose those two guys almost within a month. I guess it was a month within a month of each other. It's like losing, Prince and Tom Petty so close. I mean, man, listen, I put this in perspective. I know I'm an elder statesman in this business. I'm 57 years old, guys. The moment that I entered the world, that my parents brought me into the world, Charlie Watts was already the drummer for the Rolling Stones.
That's right.
Isn't that crazy?
It's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, you remember how crazy it was to hear someone say, the Stones are going to celebrate their 50th anniversary.
Yeah, and there's not too many times, and I mentioned you got John, Paul, George, and Ringo. There's not many times where you can mention every member of any band. I don't care how long they've been out, like you could with the Beatles and with the Rolling Stones, and the fact that those two bands were somewhat competing because the Beatles were the clean group, the quartet, and then the Rolling Stones were the wild bunch. I think that's what really set Charlie apart for me anyway. And I got a chance to talk to John Entwistle early in my career, and I followed The Who, and I love what they were doing. But he was such a different cat, just the way he dressed, the way he was raised, the fact that, the age of 12, he picked up a banjo and turned it into a drum. He listened to Duke Ellington. He was into jazz. Just talk about, some of the things about Charlie Watts, just how different. I mean, you look at him and you put him next to Tommy Lee, and you're like, what the hell? How can both these guys be so good at what they do, right? You got one guy playing upside down and having sex with porn stars, and then you got Charlie Watts wearing, a suit and a tie at the age of 79 years old. I mean, just talk about that a little bit.
Well, it's incredible that rock music has lasted as long as it has. It's probably a fact that no style of music has had a longer shelf life than rock and roll. I do think that, it's rock and roll is not going to be around. Certainly not in the way we've all known it and lived with it for decades. It's not. You
don't think so? Listen, I cannot go a day. I don't know about you, and I don't know why I hear it, but I can't go a day without hearing More Than a Feeling from Boston. I'm serious. I hear that flippin' song almost every single day, whether I'm in a Walgreens, whether it's on the radio, whether I'm playing it. And that thing is 50-something years old. I think that the longevity of it, and quite frankly, and not to be morbid, but when you're talking about the Paul McCartneys and the Roger Daltrys and all these guys who are now in their 70s, this is gonna be a tectonic plate moment in rock and roll history over the next 5 to 10 years, brother.
Totally, and that's kind of the point that I'm making. And again, man, that's just the natural progression of just the way the world works. I mean, these guys are literally dinosaurs. They've been around forever. They've had an incredible run. But I'm sure you would agree. Not only are we losing these musicians that have been the soundtrack of our lives, our entire lives, but even the fans are going to age out at some point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My 13-year-old daughter has no clue who Charlie Watts is. She's
Yeah.
not interested. She doesn't even know who Tommy Lee is. She doesn't even know who the drummer in The Killers or Kings of Leon is. So, I think we're all lucky that we've been able to be in this business as long as we have, you in radio, me in bands. But the passage of icons like Dusty Hill and Charlie Watts is just another reminder that the clock is ticking, as it always has, and it always will.
Yeah.
So Damon, well, okay, I was gonna go really deep with that one, but I'm not, because I've had one question that I wanted to ask you from the moment that it came out on social media. I immediately texted Tony. I did not text you because I knew you were busy. Or maybe I did. You opened for yourself. You freaking opened for yourself. A, what was that like? B, has anyone ever done that? And C, if so, who? And it just blew my mind when I saw that. What an amazing. And we were trying to create the other day sports analogies, and there's just nothing there. So you opened for yourself. What was that like? And do you know anybody else who has opened for themselves?
Well, I guess as a sports fan, I felt a little bit like Bo Jackson.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I played football and baseball that night. No, guys, for your listeners that don't know what you're talking about, my band, the Get Ready, was the support act on the show in Homedale, New Jersey last Friday night. We played a 60-minute set. I went backstage, changed clothes, found a hairdryer to dry my totally soaked, humidity hair, and then came back out on stage and played with Lynyrd Skynyrd for 90 minutes. It has been done before. Another musical hero of mine, Warren Haynes.
Yeah.
His band Government Mule would open for the Allman Brothers
Okay.
sometime. There are other examples, but it's very, very rare. There's no question about it. It says a lot about Skynyrd's organization that they would even be open to that idea. I got to give a lot of credit to my manager, Kevin Lee, who presented that idea to Skynyrd, and they immediately went, wow, that's a great idea. Because, look, again, their goal is to have me on the premises
Yeah.
to help keep Lynyrd Skynyrd on.
Right.
They didn't need Damon Johnson in the Get Ready, but they need Damon Johnson right now. So, what a better way, even when Gary comes back,
You're right.
you have Damon
true.
Johnson in the Get Ready on some dates. Again, it keeps me on the premises. I'm there in case they need me. Gary's not feeling well, whatever. It's just a great idea. What an experience, fellas. It was amazing. It was amazing.
What was that like? We talk about this a lot with the Stones and the you're an elder statesman, but like the Dinosaurs. I as someone who's never performed, what's that like physically? Just to play with your band for a 60-minute set. It's one thing about blow drying your hair, but like hydrating, changing, sort of your mindset. Just how do you do that to go from one to the other, and what does it feel like both physically and mentally?
Josh, that's a great question, and you're a wise man to tap into that. I treated that day like a pro athlete, that's in the playoffs.
Okay.
I got up early, made sure to have a big breakfast. I did a vocal warm-up in the morning. I went out and walked a couple miles just to kind of, get some fresh air, still warming up my voice. Did another full-blown pre-show vocal warm-up right before I left the hotel. And even with doing all that preparation, singing for 60 minutes was exhausting. I mean, I can play guitar all night. I'll put in 8-10 hours, no problem. But it's the singing that requires so much energy and effort. So, by the time I got at the end of my set, because it was very, very humid that night in New Jersey, I'm not gonna deny it, buddy. I was feeling it.
Yeah.
I was taking extra breaths just to try to be able to have enough air to hold the notes. Tony Kurre, you got to save Got No Shame for the end of the show. Right?
Yeah, yes, I do.
The trouble with that is it's one of the tougher songs for me to sing. I wrote and recorded that song when I was a young man. 2 or 3 notes higher in my vocal range. It's a little tougher to hit those notes.
That's a great. I'm seeing great interviews or when they answer questions, they give you 15 more questions, and I promise I won't keep you on till midnight today because I know you got things to do. But what is it like for you when you can't reach the notes that you used to be able to sing? I mean, for people that like to sing in the car, I used to be able to sing Me and Mrs. Jones. I could sing the hell out of Me and Mrs. Jones, man, at karaoke. And it came on the radio the other day, and I felt like I was 15 again. My voice was cracking. I couldn't hit the high notes. I'm like, damn, I can't sing that song anymore. I used to be able to sing Squeeze Tempted. I used to be able to knock it out of the park, and I can't sing it anymore. And it's driving me crazy. And I'm thinking, well, my voice must be getting deeper. It's all those packs of cigarettes I smoked over years. I never smoked. But I mean, but what's it like for you when you do have it, and we see it all the time, where you bring it down an octave? How do you tackle that?
It is a tricky situation. For me, I guess I have to sort of rely on my musicality, the ability to alter the melody that I'm singing and still get the song across.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I know if there is someone in the audience in New Jersey Friday night that knows Got No Shame, then yeah, they're going to want to hear the song the way that they know it. But, each performance is different. And I like to see someone perform, just laying it all out there. And I would like that more than expecting them to sing it exactly like it was on the record. I just want to see a passionate performance.
Do you lay out your set list based on what you feel like your vocals are going to be at that time? I mean, Got No Shame is 90-0, brother. And I mean, if that's the last song you're playing for the night, man, you're leaving it all on the table, and then your ass has got to go back out there 45 minutes later and play with Lynyrd Skynyrd. What the hell?
Yeah, man. Well, I make the set list more about the tempo of the songs. I want there to be an ebb and flow in the set. You want to come out strong and kind of hit people in the face with a couple of songs, and then inject some tempo and something that maybe grooves a little more. If there's a slower song, you want to make sure you put that in the right place. It's just more about putting an entire show together. Yeah. Because that's my job. I'm an entertainer. It really is. It's like when I fly out of the country and you have to fill out the customs form and it says, what's your occupation? I always put entertainer. That's what I leave the house to go do. Entertain people.
Yep.
So that has a lot more to do with putting the set list together than me worried about, I can't hit these notes at the start of the set. I should wait till the end of the set. You just want to put on a great show.
Well, at 57, you're still good. You can still hit the notes. You're still getting after it. You got another one, Dan?
Yeah. I got 17 more. No,
just a couple more questions,
there's a couple more. So talk to us a little bit about, I was thinking this as you were talking, you're out on the road. Tony, we've already talked about sort of the playing in the bubble, if you will. And I know a lot of athletes talked about it, like in the NBA, they were talking about it's how different it is. And I know you've talked about, playing to no audience, but you're in this position now where you're touring like crazy. You don't know when you're going to come back or not come back. And then you've got the whole sort of world events and the global pandemic and stuff. Do you get it out of your mind? Does it influence the way that you play? Can you separate those things? Because I hear a lot of people, I just, I put it out of my mind. And as a psychologist, I'm like, you can't. How does it influence this tour? Not so much on the outside, but the way you kind of are going about this tour. And again, I'm not talking about COVID protocols, but just more in your mind.
Yeah, man. Well, I can tell you that all of us that are performing, big bands like Skynyrd or the guy that's playing drums down on Broadway here in Nashville 4 nights a week, everyone is just so grateful to get to play again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To be performing again. And, if we need to get vaccinated and wear a mask to do that, give me that shot, fellas. Let's go.
Yeah.
They're talking about booster shots right now. Bring it on. Whenever it's time, let's go. I just missed playing music. I know the fans missed hearing music. But to your question, Josh, I can promise you that everyone on the stage, certainly my power trio, the Get Ready, when we open the show, and then me and all the people in Lynyrd Skynyrd later that night, there's a different humility and gratitude that we all feel to be on that stage performing those songs. And the amazing thing is the audience feels that same gratitude. You know, I'm not going to kid you guys. I was, it crossed my mind that, hey, there might be some diehard Lynyrd Skynyrd fans that have a real problem with someone else standing in on stage, Talk about an icon, talk about a legend. And across the board, man, it couldn't be more support and appreciation. People are literally mouthing the words to me at the end of the night. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here to help the band.
That's great.
And you did a good job. It definitely helps me sleep even better at night, knowing that those fans look, they're the boss of this thing, guys. I've said it to you before. The boss of my life, besides my wife, Linda.
There you go.
Is the fans, man. They're the ones that give us this life and the ability to follow our bliss. So, Josh, I just think now more than ever, we cherish it. We treasure it more than ever. Because, look, we've all taken it for granted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the natural thing to do. You just take it for granted. It's been there forever. You've done it forever. Last year changed everything. So, I don't know, man, that I'll ever take it for granted ever again after what we've all been.
That's a great attitude to go. It's a great attitude to go through.
Absolutely.
They're going to be playing in Massachusetts, New York, Virginia, Durant, Oklahoma. Their next show, Paducah, Kentucky, on September 3rd. They actually have a couple of dates on that particular show. I don't know if you're double dipping that particular day. Damon Johnson joins us here on Kurre and Klapow. Go to DamonJohnson.com. That's DamonJohnson.com to buy his record. It's Damon Johnson to Get Ready, opening up on select dates with Lynyrd Skynyrd as well. One final question. I got a tweet here. Interesting question that I think I've never asked you. If there was one particular song you love that you wish you had written, what would it be?
Ooh.
Oh, what a tough question. There's so many, guys.
Yeah.
There's so many. I was driving yesterday, running an errand. All we've been listening to, all of us, is the Rolling Stones the last week. But Wild Horses came on.
Yeah.
And I turned to my wife and I said, that might be on the Mount Rushmore of one of the greatest songs of all time.
Yeah.
Not just the greatest Rolling Stones song, but one of the greatest songs of all time. Today, my answer to that question is I wish I had have written Wild Horse.
I love it. I love it.
So before you wrap up, just to make him the elder statesman that he is, were you going to Target? Or or you're running an errand, just so people can understand the humanity of a rocker like you. Were you going to Target or Walmart? Did you have to go to?
Gosh, you're gonna love this.
Okay.
Ready? I was going to my local U.S. Post Office to hand deliver 35 Damon Johnson and the Get Ready vinyl records that I sat in my office and personally signed, sealed, taped them up. Stamps.com is my new best friend. I'm printing out shipping labels. I rolled in there with 35 flats, each one with a vinyl of the new record, because we just got those, man. I've been waiting on these damn vinyl albums for 6 months. It's been such a delay.
Do you have some more of them? Because I'm going to order one as soon as I get out this interview.
Yes, I do, fellas.
I'm in.
Send your listeners to DamonJohnson.com. Get one of these limited edition vinyls. It has been such a pain in my butt to get this vinyl done, guys. I may never do another one. It's too much work. So get them while they're here, folks, because this may be my last.
I love it.
You're awesome, Damon.
DJ, thank you, man. I appreciate your time. You're the best. Peace and love to the family. Be safe on the road. We'll catch up soon. Thank you so much, and I love you like a brother, man. Thank you.
Fellas, that love is reciprocated. My best to you and your families. Dusty Hill, Charlie Watts, rest in peace. You guys take care.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. There he is. Damon Johnson joins us right here on KCast Radio.